Hello, fiendish tubers, and welcome back. Let's play Final Fantasy Renaissance with me, BlueAnkylo. Nothing's happened between episodes. Just basically saying, hey, let's go take our first stab at this final dungeon. We're gonna have to leave at least once because I need to get some level ups and then restack and get, because I need to show off Meteor and Dark at least. Haven't done a great job of showing off every possible skill and limit. You know, it's hard, but most of them aren't necessary. Let's just leave it at that. But yeah, let's get started here. Temple of Fiends. There's no bats because, you know, we ate them, but maybe there's some bats 2,000 years ago. I don't think so. So yeah, we got to find the treasure because there's really cool stuff. Maybe? Huh. I mean, one more level up, and that'll be 3 hits. It's 20% more hit, which would be right now 61, but a level up will get us to 64. That'd be 3 attacks. So assuming you get an extra hit out of it, you're getting 10% more crit and losing 30 base damage. That's a lot of base damage to drop. I don't know about that, but maybe after we get a level up, I'll think about it. Heal 3? It is like the Cure 3 spell, I think, at that point. That's pretty good. Cool. But yeah, welcome to the final dungeon. Yeah, that must be all of them, because that's all there's space in the drink menu. That's cool. Yeah, hope you guys are enjoying. I'm pretty good chance we'll finish the game today. There's not too much more stuff I want to show off, and we don't really need any grinding or anything. Specifically, I just want to get the treasure out of here and a couple levels so we can show off the best spells. I generally don't come this direction, but I figure while we're here, we should check the shortcut to the earth floor. It's just a dead end, but I would expect there's a treasure here. Yep. Ooh, 50,000 gold in the final dungeon. Yeah, you know, sometimes when I'm dungeon mastering or just playing D&D in general, it do be like that, where you just get a ton of gold after there's nothing to spend gold on. What's the party gonna do with 50,000 gold in the final dungeon? Now, to be fair, some Final Fantasies do add secret shops. Some, not just Final Fantasies, lots of games do that, in fact. Fire Emblem's got a bunch of secret shops. I don't know. JRPGs, I feel like not too uncommon. I don't think there is one, but maybe I just haven't found it yet. So those frost dragons are really beating us up here. Maybe I'll show you my plan. Because using heal potions is slow, you know? It takes a long time. I don't have any other healing. This whole dungeon would be pretty difficult to do in one run with no healers. Not impossible, just it's gonna take a lot of... Yeah, we got all the money. So, you know, there is one thing we can do with our money, I guess, while we're in the dungeon, seeing as we're here. There's the zombie Ds. Yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of dragons on every floor. You don't always run into them, but I do think it's kind of cool that the final dungeon has every flavor of dragon mixed in. Zombie Ds are undead dragons. They maybe could have been black dragons, but they didn't add acid breath or anything like that. So they just made a undead dragon, which doesn't get a breath attack. A Draco Lich, technically, sorry. Some more ninja scrolls. But, you know, while we're here, you know, we could basically say this dungeon's going to be trivial, because the thing with the blue mages, as long as they're alive, you're always at full strength, if you want to be. Now, sure, this does cost us a couple charges. You know, we have to reserve a level 6 charge, 2 basically. But the other level 6 spells are kind of garbage, and maybe that's on purpose. There's nothing else to do besides cast teleport. Now, these floors do loop back and forth a bit, so getting all 3 items might require a fair bit of, back and forthing. But I feel like I might as well take most of the fights on the way down now. I won't fight everything. But, things that are valuable, we can't run from this one, so you don't get a choice. There's not an option here. These guys are going to hurt. Four gas dragons is probably the worst fight in the final dungeon. Maybe... Yeah, I don't have a lot of group. If I had level 8 spells, Zap would probably get the job done. I guess we'll just try to disable one, because this is going to hurt. If they're going to cast poison 4 times in a row, we're going to take a tremendous amount of damage. And we got relatively bad turn order there, so... Yeah, this fight is probably the worst. They have normally poison is, I think, non-elemental. No, it is elemental. It's just poison elemental. There's not a lot of ways to resist it. The ribbon does half it, but it's... I mean, they give you a ton of experience, but yeah, that's the fight. One of the kinds of fights where I think it will take less clicks by a significant margin to just do this, because you can't run from those fights. You have to take them. A lot of times, if you're just... I keep pressing the wrong button. If you're just playing along, those can be run enders for your final dungeon trip, because they cost you like 50 heal potions to heal back up if you're using heal potions, and you generally are. So maybe you have enough spare heals to do that once, maybe even twice, depending on your luck and how many. Maybe I should be using this. This might be a good time for ice. Didn't expect to fight a ton of these guys, but they are weak to ice. But not much else. Maybe wind. I can't remember. That's one of the new ones. But yeah, these guys suck. Decent damage, but not enough to one-shot anything. Okay, the muddle really helped there, though. That was a good call. Alright, this time I'll heal up normally, because I don't want to teleport out every single time. It feels like I'm cheating. And I only got hit by 1 poison gas. So. Not sure why the text box glitches out like that. A diamond bracelet? Wait. That's new. So the opal gets you to 34. That gets you to 42. It's actually better than the ice armor at that point. Assuming you don't need the elemental protection. But it's probably still better to drop the gold bracelet rather than give it... Yeah, that's tied with dragon armor. That's... might be literally the best armor in the game. Because it's got no evade penalty. Man, that would be pretty good on the ninja. I think I'm boring. I can always buy another gold bracelet. I mean, I can buy anything back. I like patching up the weakest. So that puts us at 44 and 51. Like, no one is... 44 is the weakest now. So our minimum absorb is gone up, rather than our... Technically, the ninja will be attacked more regularly than the mages, but losing the mages are more punishing than losing the ninja. Because, especially the time mage, because we can reset a bad battle if we need to. Or just escape. If someone dies, now we can go back to town and res pretty quick. Well, we're getting a lot of gas Ds with all this extra searching. So that's one of the downsides of the thief. Is definitely you get a lot of extra battles while you're searching for all these treasures. Like, as much as some of the treasure is pretty cool, I don't think it's worth the extra fights very often. I guess if you could get the timing right, that ice one doesn't do enough damage, but it makes them weak to fire. So you could try, you know, queuing up a fire attack after. But yeah, you need your turn order to work out for that to really help. And I'm not a fan of all the heal potions. Oh, come on, are you serious, game? Okay, if we didn't have access to exit, or like the teleport spell, this is 100% an unwinnable run. This is way too many gas dragons. Even this fight might be a bit much. Because I didn't heal. I think I used the wrong one there, actually. Yeah. So again, if you had a fighter with the Aegis Shield, I think that provides poison protection. There probably is one armor that we could equip that could do that. Like one... like there's an earth glove or something. The trouble is, like, you just can't bring all that stuff with you because you would need to switch out between earth, water, paralyze, all the different statuses. And as much as that, I think it's a really cool mechanic to be like, okay, we're on the floor that has gas Ds. Let's prepare for them by equipping anti-poison equipment. There's just not enough inventory space to do that kind of thing. So although you could reward your players for, you know, having the gear and equipping the right stuff for the right floors, the mechanics of FF1 don't really let you carry that kind of extra stuff around. So you can bring one, like you could bring poison protection, but then you're skipping whatever other protections you might want for the other floors. Maybe you could even bring two, but unless you can find another ribbon, and that's why the ribbons, I think really that's the main thing. Ribbons wouldn't be so overpowered if there were other ways of getting around elemental and status protections, like being able to carry some backup. You know, if everyone had access to fire protection in the volcano or the fire floor, you'd all equip it, you wouldn't need everyone to have a ribbon, right? But if there's no way to do that, then the ribbon's the only way to do that. Okay, so it turns out that door was not locked. In the NES version, it is, by the Mystic Key. So if you play the randomizer, if you do not have the key, you cannot enter this door, this room. Of course, there's tons of money again, so. Also, I sure hope I picked up that loot. Alright. We're about halfway through. Oh, there is one! Okay, it's a different door this time. I'm pretty sure that's a different one. That's okay. That's kind of what I expected. I was just wondering... Oh, that's mean. You can't set a teleport inside of a room, so... Right, we already have the one we need then. It's fine. Alright. So, we have hit the limit of our reverse dungeon arc. No matter what happens, you're gonna have to go back and, I guess I could have gone to the airship, technically. You're gonna have to go back and kill Astos, but basically we can save Astos for last, and that's as good as I can set up. We've already gone back in time 2,000 years and got stopped, but now we finally have to kill this guy. I was wondering if we could leave him alive, but no. Alright, so now we have the fetch quest, which I love having the airship for the fetch quest. This is so much better. Like, as much as I think overall my reverse sequence order was a silly plan, being able to, like, warp around and teleport and stuff, it sure is a lot easier. Like, this whole sequence at low levels where you're running from every encounter definitely takes some work. Alright, that's all we technically need to finish the game. But I need to get all the treasure, right? So I don't think I need to blow up the canal. So we can skip that. There's no need to get the TNT. We've got all the treasure here. Oh, I will show you this. Now that we've opened the black orb, I found this out by accident. You can get a warp stone. I believe you can only get one, and it's consumable. I think it just casts the exit spell once. So effectively, you could do the Temple of Fiends with no warp caster, maybe even get the Mazmune, and get out once. But that's it, only once. Pretty sure. Unless there's a way to get more that I don't know about. But that way, I believe, gives you one. Alright. So I've got the Mystic Key. There's no treasure left in the dwarf room. There's no items in the dwarven treasure we need, so that doesn't matter. It might just be the last chest in Marsh. There might not be any others. No, I want to get that power staff, because I'm wondering if there's something we can do with it. Also, there's a harp. Right? Another harp for your bard. Enjoy. Now, what do you do with 4 power staves, right? Is there something you can do with all the power? You combine them? Maybe it's like a... Well, I feel like you need a thief to get 4. I'm assuming that's all of them. There's gotta be something with these things. They're otherwise useless, right? Like, unless the dev is just trolling me. They even added a question mark. So, Staff of the Magi, or the power, like, there is items for all these things in D&D as well. Pretty much every magic item in Final Fantasy is based on a D&D item as well. Flame Sword is a Flame Tongue. Ice Sword is an Ice Brand. You know, classic elemental D&D weapons. Power Staff is probably... I think it's actually... It might even be called a Power Staff. It's the one where you break and it explodes. I can't remember what it's called exactly, but, you know, it's a classic one. Maybe it's Staff... I think there's a couple versions of it in 5th edition, like, that are stronger or weaker by a little bit. They tend to have a million spells and explode if you want them to. I've been talking about all the monsters. Oh, the crawls are one of the ones that were kind of hard to figure out. The bones, the red bones, there actually is a special Irish... I forget the name of it, but it's like an Irish mythology... It's like a bloody bones, I think it's called, in English, whatever. Not the original Irish translation, I believe. But that's, I think where the red bones come from is the bloody bones. But yeah, it's I've had a lot of fun trying to figure out, like, all the monsters and spells and items. Like, even just the magic items, like the rod. There's a bunch of rods that literally, like, magic items that open stuff. The chime, it's a chime of opening, is an old school D&D item to open the way to the Mirage Tower. The cube, there's always been like cubes of force and stuff that can basically make you float up and down, like what we might be looking for. There we go. Of course, it's just a dumb buckler. Okay, that was the reason we came back here. Now, maybe the dwarves can do something with the... Like, they do the forging. Like, maybe they can fix a... What? There's gotta be a secret with this power staff. I mean, I guess dwarves aren't... Like, they swords and armor more than magic. Who could we... try talking to? Oh, I forgot about that. We get a special healing, but only for the... It's because we have the same hat as they have as the Time Mage. I forgot about that. We get healed, but only the Time Mage. Yeah, so who could... Maybe we go talk to, like, the sages? Unless there's more power staves. Maybe there's a 5th one in the Temple of Fiends Revisited. But... You know, you can't guarantee people have exits, usually. Come on, what do we do with these stupid power staff? Blah, 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 Lucan, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I got that canoe finally. Hooray. The 13th wizard was the one in the first town. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read all the standard stuff. Fiends are bad. There's a time loop. Fix things. Save the day. Hooray. Go, guys, go. Okay, who else could we talk to? Maybe Sarda? Maybe Lefane? I can't think of very many other people that potentially could fix... I mean, there's a bunch of robots. I don't want to have to go all the way through Mirage and Sky again. Hey, do you know anything about power staves? Maybe Bahamut? I think he does other stuff. That's useless. Useless! Revive the power of the orbs. No, I want to revive the power of my 4 power staves. I mean, I'm trying not to spoil it by looking things up, right? Like, I'm sure there's an answer. There's got to be something. You wouldn't add 4 of these stupid things that only the thief can get, pretty sure, without a plan. Zoom. Do you know anything about magic staves? Yeah. I think you could probably assume most of these locations have, like, one major reason to revisit them. You could probably guess that Bahamut you might want to talk to as a summoner. Just throwing that out there as it seems pretty likely. So, like, if there's already one class or side quest associated with them, that might be all there is. I also happen to know that Matoya has some business with black wizards. So yeah, like, certain locations have already got, like, somebody connected, basically. I still think I need another level up. Maybe I just use them. Damage output's looking pretty good. Yeah, Power Staff continues to be garbage. Unless there's a way to reform them. So if it is meant to be like a D&D Staff of Power, they do break, like you smash them and they turn into pieces. I could see a DM giving you a quest to recover all the pieces of a broken Staff of Power to reforge it and make your own. That sounds like a pretty good D&D quest, so... I mean, come on, right? Get the 4 MacGuffins and... But then where do you take them? I don't think that... I don't know if there's any class that would be specifically tied to it. I guess, if anything, the ninja is necessary to get them. Just figured I'd talk to these people because they're supposedly smart. And there's probably not very much happens in Lefane. Yeah, there's not much here. Maybe eating all those bats is a mistake, technically. if the Sky Warriors are the ones that... That would be unfortunate if it turns out that you need the 4 bats alive to... or the 5 bats. Is it 5? 5? Yeah, it's 4 Light Warriors, but 5 Sky Warriors, or something like that. Huh. Still no meteors. Maybe I can show off Comet a little bit more. Comet is pretty strong. It's not... I mean, I guess they got a resistance. They passed their saving throw, but... It's not as good as fasting people up. I think we're probably gonna have to go back to Topher pretty quick. Temple of Fiends revisited. But... I mean, there's some, like, witches around with brooms. Yeah, this is the do you have the power? I was thinking there was something related to power. I think this was technically referring to do you have great power? Nintendo power, like, buy the cheat codes. This would have been an interesting way to fix the power staff, though. All the brooms, and the one that talks about great power being, like, I feel like if I'd thought of that, that might be the way I would, and maybe that is still, but I feel like that would be a way to kind of an old reference, and then a way to revitalize it by actually giving you a relatively complicated side quest. I suppose these pirates. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what else I could try. I mean, obviously I could re-talk to every single NPC in the game, but, like, that's a little bit of a hassle more than I would like. I can always try to look it up. I'm sure there's someone who's posted it somewhere, but I don't suppose there's anything. Maybe. What if I sold all 4 of them? Would he put them together? Or maybe there's. It did it again. There's definitely something glitchy about leaving the caravan. Alright, well, unfortunately, as far as I know, this has happened 2nd time now. Only way to fix that bug is to restart the game. I think it's like taking off on the airship as the transition is loading. I guess like in the NES version, it locks you into animations. You can't interact. Like it just there's a buffer before you can interact with anything until the pass. Like you're locked waiting for the screen to load before you can interact with things or open your menu. In this one, to speed things up, it's not like that, but it introduces some interesting glitches. At least occasionally. We'll play at 7 speed. Alright. So I saved it so that... Oh, you can't... Right. Yeah, as long as you wait, you're fine. I'm gonna... Well, I can rebuy them, I guess. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna sell those staves and see if it does anything. Maybe you sell 4 and then they get recombined or something. Because who would hold on to them the entire game, right? But this is maybe the last thing I can think of. Okay. We have sold all of our power staves. Oh, you know, I'm an idiot. So this shop normally only sells the cat claw. I'm so dumb. I forgot that they updated these in the Renaissance mode. I never bother to check it because it's always the cat claw. Why would you bother? There's one of those bows I was thinking. There's not very many bows in this game. Well, we could have just bought a rose bow. That's not going to be as good as the Yoichi, I don't think. 20, 30, 50... It's actually got more base damage and hit, but a bit less. It's pretty equivalent, honestly. 20% crit for 5 damage and 5 hit. On a character who has a pretty low base damage, 5 damage helps a lot to overcome, you know, absorb and stuff. But yeah, that's... Whoops. What about that Onyx Greatsword? 52 minus 20. I think it's pretty obsolete now. But yeah, that would have been okay. Oops. Alright, so if you're wondering where some late game weapons are, maybe actually check these shops, including the weapon shop when you're here, because it probably depends on your class. So if you bring a bard or someone with an axe or whatever the other weapons are, there's probably some late game weapons for them there that you just could buy. I can't believe... There's probably some comments being like, Blue, you're an idiot. But like, look, that shop usually is a waste of time because it's just a cat claw, but I just auto-tune it out. Well, there's 4 power staves all in a row. I guess we can just leave them there. I mean, the money doesn't really matter anymore, but... Alright, well, I tried. I'm kind of out of ideas that make sense to me for places to try that now. So let's just get back to Temple of Fiends. Had a little break. We sadly did not... We still need like at least 1 more level up to get the big boy spells. The Phantom of the Opera, technically Undead Beholder. It's there's a name for those too. It's not like Undead Beholder. It's like... I can't remember what it's called. But there is a Beholder variant that's been around for ages that is that. It's not normally called a Phantom. I think we have to fight these, technically. Pretty sure this is an unrunnable encounter. Not super scary, though. Man, our ranger has more HP than our ninja. That's kind of sad for the ninja. Alright, top left is the way out. There's generally nothing in any of these rooms. These are just fights that slow me down in the final dungeon, just like the Gasties. But this is the, like I said earlier, this is the trouble of searching for treasure. If you were playing blindly, these dungeons are so much more difficult because you end up with so many extra encounters because you don't just know how to get out, right? You don't know the perfect path through the dungeon. So, I suppose, in a way, my usual... And same thing with, like, speedrunners and other experienced players. Like, once you memorize the path, these dungeons are a lot easier because you're probably fighting half as many or even a third as many monsters. So you're... Like, the tax on your resources is way, way less. If you were actually exploring this one completely blindly, yeah, you might actually want the Blue Wizard's ability to teleport out and heal everybody. Not Blue Wizard, sorry, Time Wizard. Blue Wizard's got their own tricks, but the Time Wizard's ability to just teleport out would be a very good newbie, like, because I think for a lot of people, it's real. It exists. For a lot of people, this dungeon is probably too hard by modern standards. Oh, I feel so much better. Okay, worth it. Bring the thief just to get a fourth ribbon in the final dungeon. Sure. 90% of the game, it doesn't matter, but every now and then we find something that's worth it. Unless, I still haven't tested it, because, you know, try not to spoil the game too much. Unless you can find these items without the ninja, which maybe I will find out if that ribbon is still there on one of my other save files, because that's pretty good. That's a lot of Medusa. But guess what? Everyone's immune to stone now. Haha! You can't find a weak point in our team. Yeah, the remake, Dawn of Souls, added a fourth ribbon as well. Maybe even a fifth ribbon, but yeah. But those are in the bonus dungeons. The bonus dungeons, you know, there's an awful lot of good stuff in there, let's just say. I think the extra inventory slots would only be a problem if you added too many caster items, like the Dawn of Souls did, which also had infinite inventory, so it didn't even matter. Everyone could use the nuke staff if they wanted. But in this game, if you added all the Dawn of Souls use items that have, like, you can literally cast, like, Life 2, I think, and Cure 3, Heal 3, maybe even Cure 4, but literally all the way up to Nuke for damage. Yes, anyone being able to hold a bunch of those kinds of items would maybe break the balance, but to be fair, as long as you lock those kinds of items behind, you know, optional mega bosses late in the game, it's not even that big a deal. Like, if we found a staff that casts Nuke now, I mean, it would still be very strong, but it's only going to matter for the final dungeon. Like, let's say, beside the Masamune, you found an ultimate spell or item for everybody that lets you do stuff like that. Like, it's going to help against Chaos, sure, but I don't think it's too broken. I still actually really do need to keep killing. We're getting to the end of the game with no level 8 magic, which gives you a good sign that we're a pretty powerful party, despite my misgivings about, like, some of our aspects are a little bit on the low end, but the Dark Knight, once you get multiple attacks, I'm gonna test the Chaos Sword for a bit. We do get 3 attacks. 3 times 58. Ugh. I don't know. Keep an eye on it. Three hits, 411. Because we're swinging more often, it actually makes him a little bit more reliable. But he's still one-shotting stuff pretty reliable. Maybe that is better. You know, it was a special greatsword we found with the thief in the final dungeon. Pretty sure one of these statues is going to have it. I think the Black Mage had a way of doing extra elemental damage in this Renaissance as well. So stuff like the Mage Staff on the Black Mage, I feel like would average even higher, like, damage output. That's not very good. Still missing one, and I realize I forgot I didn't have the heal staff equipped. Starting to take some hits here. So the normal slow spell, status elemental, means ribbons will protect us. Slow 2, wait, that was over 1,000 damage. Was that just a bunch of crits? I mean, 30% crit that is one of the upgrades. So, because we technically have a way to get a guaranteed crit, high crit weapons might not be as important. You just want high base damage and swings, because then you force the crit. But if you don't have Hunter's Mark, crit is good. Probably should just teleport out. Probably right here. No? Oh. I thought it was going to be like, come back to the stairs after you fight this fight. Okay, there's a potential for this fight to go bad. It generally is not a problem, but... you know... I think also, against enemies with a lot of absorb, the Buster Sword might be better. I mean, crits ignore the defense, but base damage also overcomes absorb just fine. Usually you have to conserve your spell charges till you get to the final dungeon, the final... Oops. At least we didn't... We could have lost the Time Wizard right there and kind of ended our run. But we're okay. I mean, he's not going to use Nuke twice in a row, so we're okay now. I gotta move that... the heal staff down. I've got him with the mage staff. Yeah, it's just the standard nuking. It's always like that. You can just have all the elements, I guess. Okay. So what we're gonna do, because I'm tired of spamming heal potions... Oh, we have access to our the big boy spell now. Nice. I guess we might as well restock on heal potions. It just feels not fair to be in the middle of the final dungeon and able to like just come back to town, restore your spells, restock. Because generally speaking, in NES FF1, you know, the final dungeon is really a resource grind almost more than anything, and your job is to try to get to the end without running out of spells and cure potions. But, like, usually, I think what I would do if I was playing along is I try to get any of the treasure I want, which is basically the Mazmune, and I just burn through the spells to get there, and then I exit out. You get a couple levels, and then the next time you kill Chaos. So I think leaving a dungeon isn't unusual when you're running out of resources in these kinds of games. And again, the exit spell, it's the Word of Recall spell from D&D, an old cleric spell that you set up a safe point, usually a town or a church or something, and then you can instantly travel back there. It doesn't let you return to the dungeon where you left it like this Time Mage garbage, but the ability to just exit has been around for a long time. Classic high-level cleric trick. Is there, like, encounter rate? I mean, I could be spamming float, I suppose, if I really wanted to. What's my feeling on this sword? Do I like this more or less than the other one? We didn't get to see an extra swing. Nothing. Nothing. Something... nearer... Just getting swarmed. Yeah, we would be done this floor if I wasn't searching for the... Well, we did find a ribbon already, and a possibly upgrade to the Great Sword. Maybe we'll find a 5th power staff. Maybe we'll find another one. Okay, in that room is the spot there. All right. Bottom left. Oh, just gonna run from some of these. And this is a big floor too, technically. There's a bunch of big winding arms to spiral off. Although, usually there's like no reason to explore them. But... There is some money, protect cloak, and spare katana in case you have 2 ninjas. Now let's pick this up. Just money. So an extra pro cape. If I don't want the white shirt, it works just fine. Thinking. I think we embrace our... Maybe I'll keep it if we don't find any other armor that's worth picking up. But I think we embrace our personal skills and spells and don't rely on the old white wizard tricks, basically. We don't want to use ruse strats if we are trying to show off, you know, new classes and new skills, because otherwise I'm just going to use the same thing I always use, which is get everyone's evade up, fast the Dark Knight, and then win. Fast the person with the biggest damage, and then kill Chaos. I'm going to try to utilize everyone's actual class abilities if I can. Still one more item. I also feel like this room needed something else. Like, it needed some story or lore, or like a boss guarding it or something, because it is really out of the way. You have to avoid the obvious stairs that lead you out and fight Carrie too. It looks like this is a special room that should have a shop or a boss or something in it. If this was FF4, there'd be a guardian in this crystal realm or something. You'd get... It's like the katana, but you get the Murasame or whatever, and it would be guarded by a dragon or something. And there might be a little bit of story or something. A little bit of dialogue, at least. We do get an extra katana, though, and sadly, I don't think there's any dual wielding, but we can imagine. We can dream. Or maybe better yet, we should just tie them together with some chains and have a sword chuck. Props to the old 8-bit theater. It's been some time, but good times. Wonder what that web artist is doing these days. I feel like he stopped the series, obviously got to the end, and I don't think he picked it. I don't remember him picking up, but that was like a decade ago the last time I looked at any of those. So I wonder if he's still drawing silly comics or got a job with it or something. Because boy, I spent a lot of time enjoying those old 8-bit theater comics. Whenever you're seeing the dumb fighter, the dead monk, or black belt, the evil black mage, and the white mage soloing Chaos, or the 4 white mages from all the first 4 games soloing Chaos, that's probably from 8-bit theater. Thief being very good at stealing and nothing else. So Carrie... Do we need to take Carrie seriously? We did learn she's weak to water. We could try that. Water damage makes her weak to lightning. Could force a... No, don't use that. We could force a crit. I can't remember what monster type she counted as. Theoretically, we could go for one of our special shots. I think I'm gonna just use a meteor on her, because I haven't shown meteor off yet. Ooh, she hit hard there. She went mad. She must have... That's a very major crit. Wow. 800 damage through pretty decent level of absorb. She was angry. Alright. Well, this is why usually you have a white mage. Because that's pretty brutal. Fortunately, we have a pseudo white mage, because we can just do this. Maybe it's better than a white mage. You just come back to town and fully heal anyway. You don't know anything about power staves, do you? Probably not. Okay, whew. Surprise! Carrie was angry. But now we got double meteor. We just keep getting stronger. There's gotta be one in the middle here, right? This is another one of those unrunnables. Weak to ice. So yeah, Meteor is 4 non-elemental damage. It's really good against a single target because you hit him 4 times. Could go for a Zap. Zap might work. Hmm. 50-50. It's okay, but... That's kind of the trouble with death effects, you know? A level 8 spell, if it was Nuke, it would have just killed everything. Even Ice 3 would have killed everything, I think. We'll just run from this. It's not even worth enough XP at this point. Okay, in the middle. This is always a bit of a spooky floor. Usually, this is where the crunch starts to hit as you start to run out of heal potions in the old days. One pure potion. Awesome. Alright, I'll try that again. There are 2 item slots below the scrolls. I'm wondering if there are technically shurikens out there somewhere, just waiting for you to find them. I know they're not weak to lightning, but... Oh, it's fire. Fire is the one I should have followed up with, because they're resistant to fire too, but... I forgot which combo it was. Hey, we got a couple kills. That's still decent. Reduces the damage input. But yeah, our AoE sweeping ability is a little bit weak. Which, you know, this is where you find out. This floor with the waters, and there's a few battles where you just need to kill everything really quick. Tappy, 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 tap. This is where having Cure For is so nice. Although, we have to be pretty high level to have charges anyway. I'm gonna say there's a fairly decent chance we just get sniped by this massive hit. But... we could try... The power words won't work. Most of these won't work. That's the trouble. Most of them don't work. I don't really know what Enhance with Dark does, to be honest. Oh, there was a thing. I'll save that for later. I do want to get that achievement, though. Double Katana. It's hard to see any of this being very valuable based on what's coming. I don't know. Oh, yeah, what I want is slow it, right? If that works again, if it is 100% on aquatic, I mean that'll basically, the only thing that this Kraken can do is smack you, and then it won't be able to. Just smacked him anyway. So, turn order didn't favor us, but that's fine. Crit. One shot, 850. We didn't even get the darkness on or anything else. I think, based on that being way less than 5,000 damage. I mean, we didn't get any buffing going on either, but anyway, it's a good thing we have a time mage with all these deaths, because it's pretty hard to get all the treasure when the guy that can get the treasure keeps dying. That was pretty brutal. That's twice in a row where the final fiends, the refights, just are like, nope, denied. You don't even get a turn. Just kill you instantly. I don't think they're buffed any compared to vanilla. It's just sometimes they do that. You know, they attack, they hit you 8 times and crit 8 of them, and you're dead. So sometimes that just, you know, that's fine. Let's return. I mean, we are a slightly low level for sure. We didn't really prepare by grinding. What are we, level 20? 26 is fine for Chaos. But for a party that is different, that I'm not super familiar with, it might be a little bit low. Usually you'd have a white wizard casting life in life 2. Black wizard would be good at actual sweeping of a lot of enemy groups. Sure, we can take a little break here. Beat up some rock golems. Maybe we'll get lucky and find an iron golem. We didn't see any T-Rexes, we didn't see any war mechs. Let's see if we find the other super rare monster. I do remember struggling around here, being like, using heal staffs and healing helms, because it was like, we're out of heal potions, we're so close to the end, but there's no way to, like, get out and try again like we can. Like, we don't have time magic to just teleport like this. And yeah, just being, like, frantic at this point in the game. Mini run was, I'm not sure if it was saved by heal staff, but it slowed things down. If you can find an easy fight and lock them in, and you heal more than they deal damage, then you can always fully heal everybody, but there's not a lot of fights like that. I forgot to buy heal potions, but that's okay. There's something I was going to do in inventory. I was thinking of going back to the big sword. 58 and 70, I don't know. 30 damage is a lot. And if we're going to be doing triple the number of attacks plus darkness anyway, then I think that's going to be stronger. Katana damage is not impressing me as much as I was hoping either. I guess I'm used a little bit, maybe more used to the Final Fantasy randomizer thief. But 100 gold. Why? Is this randomly just generated junk? Lame. Now you could ditch. It's almost as strong as the Buster Sword in terms of pure damage, but a 80% hit swing. I mean, usually I'd give it to, like, the White Mage or something, just so they can do something without spending a turn, but I think it's... What the thief needs, or the ninja needs, is the base damage, and they don't have it. So this gets them their base damage up much, much more effective. Because, you know, we could be fighting this final boss, and the Death Knight could just get touched and killed instantly. Seems to be the trend so far, so having 2 potential damage dealers might be the way to play this. But yeah, the Massa, you know, whoever you give it to is going to be pretty effective at the end game. Can't be too many items left. Sorcerers still aren't worth it. Interesting. Are we playing Final Fantasy Legends? It's actually a Sega game. What? It better not break. Huh. It's ninja only. So if I want to use it, I have to put it here. It's got no crit. No hit. Just massive damage. Boy, if you had that 4 hit percent per level. So you need to be level 36 to get 4 strikes. Or, sorry, 3 strikes. Huh. I mean, it does massive damage. And that frees up the sword for the mass that can go to whoever. I mean, technically, it might be better than the Buster Sword, too. I mean, depends how you want to calculate it, but that is a tremendous... Because keep in mind, the Death Knight has ridiculous strength. Getting that hit percent up might really be the way to crack the damage. I mean, the crits are nice, but we can force crit it with the Hunter's Mark. Interesting. I just don't think I'm going to be bothering to attack with Tella. His stats, like his strength and stuff, suck anyway, so it doesn't even really matter, but... Glass sword. Interesting. Let's do a little bit of fighting here. You know, we're almost done. I want to see some numbers. 1,000 damage with the massive. Yeah. 100 damage with the glass sword. Errors do dodge a lot. It's pretty traditional. I do think the Massa on the Death Knight might be better than the Great Swords. Just, you know, kind of have that, getting that hunch. Because I don't think you need the Great Swords for any of his abilities. It's just, not having negative 20% hit is such a huge buff. Alright, let's... Sure, let's try to use damage here. Let's buff ourselves up. Buff ourselves up. Set up a... Well, I don't know if we're going to get a Hunter's Mark immediately, but we can do that. And we obviously go fast. Yeah, we're pretty resistant. Alright, that's fast times 3. 1 power glove, maybe 2. Guaranteed crit. And we didn't put darkness on, but we can give that a shot. No. Still 4,500 damage against Tiamat with no darkness. That's pretty good. Might be a record. I think around 4,000-ish damage was my black belt hasted record. Without using like Dawn of Souls cheating. But in the base game, that's about as... I think that's higher than we ever got normally. This is a pretty tough group, to be honest. Well, we'll be fine. We're going to start one-shotting these guys. At least Cecil will. You know, that glass sword might not be very good. I'm not sure. I feel like it might just need really high levels. I mean, with fast, especially fast times 3, that will fix a lot of the problems. But 0 crit is... So the thing is, Tiamat and Chaos have a lot of absorb. So just attacking them a lot isn't really going to do you much good. You need crits to punch through that absorb usually. Or really high base damage, but like a lot. Hopefully these are the last 2 items. Looks like there's just going to be healing potions. Might be in the room. At least there's no encounters on this one. In some of the ROM hacks... I got the achievement and I got 7,777,777 gold. There is an achievement for having 10 million gold, so this is the closest I've ever gotten. Just by having a thief. That's pretty good. Alright, Chaos, you just hold on for a second. We might as well use our blue magic, right? This is... We brought this guy... I don't think he's... I mean, Fast 2 might be the best buff in the game. I think a lot of the game, he hasn't really shined too much. He's not as good as Sweeper as a Black Mage. He's... Some of his buffs are a little slow to set up. A lot of his damage is, like, slowly cumulative, which isn't amazing. But the ability to give triple number of attacks is strong. All right, I'm gonna try to use my limits on this one. We're gonna do all the cool stuff. First, though, we're gonna use the ninja's limit. Because normally you cannot run from this fight. But, yeah. I don't think so. Oh, he attacks you again. That's awesome. Alright. Maybe the other bosses don't. That's too good. Alright. I don't think so. That's the dungeon master. The group's like, I'm teleporting out of here. Smoke bomb. Disappeared. No, I don't think so, guys. You're fighting this demon monster. Okay. Here we go. I don't think Death Element is actually going to do anything. In fact, it might even weaken our attack. Unfortunately, Enchant Dark, I just don't really see when this would ever help. If something was weak to death, you do bonus damage, but I don't know if anything is weak to death. Probably not. If anything, people resist death. Instant KO sounds cool, but really we're using damage, not instant death. But I mean, it would be funny if he just died to Death Touch, but I doubt it. Power Words won't work. Death is not going to work. Bind doesn't matter. Drain we might be able to do. Poison, he's going to resist poison, but it's possible you could afflict him. No, I think none of these do anything. So for the first turn, we'll just put some evade up, I guess. It wasn't not my big plan, but I am going to very much be powering up the Dark Knight. I will use that limit eventually, but I think I'm going to start with remember, he's a spellcaster. The whole plan here, I didn't even craft any extra. We just got 3 tries. But if we can silence him, it's going to be very funny. But we're also going to compress time. I haven't even used it once. It's kind of a shame. We did not silence him. He went for the crack. Alright, so the Time Mage is going to do whatever he wants for 3 turns. Let's get Cecil buffed up. Let's get Zidane buffed up. Should I just put it on Maria too? I mean, yeah, sure. Everyone's ready. There's worse things you could do with a time stop. Another technically D&D spell. All right, we might not be able to just easily stop him from casting magic. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be easy, but I'll use my arrows at least. And I'm gonna try to get Dark. I think he resists time. He's one of the. I think there's like 2 enemies in the entire game that resist time. So you're not gonna easily just hit him with Dim. If you had like a non-elemental version, you're just fighting his magic defense. There are some spells like that. Slow 2, technically non-elemental, I believe. But let's put Haste 2. This means we go earlier in combat, in general. So we'll generally go before Chaos. Take some damage, that's okay. We can take a bit of that. I mean, we could roll for Dark. I'd really like to get him with Dark, is the thing, you know. I've got one more chance to silence. We'll give it a shot. What else have we got here for wizard stuff? Used our level spells. Doom, yeah, it'd be funny. If Demi worked, I think it says its bosses take half, so a quarter. That'd still be pretty cool if it worked. I mean, if you could hit him with Old, that'd be pretty sweet for a long fight. I was wondering how Gain worked. I never even tested it out. There's just so much. There's so many things to do. Let's try... First off, I want to see if I can drop his Evade with basic Lock Spell. It got buffed in the randomizer to work more regularly. It does still work in this version in Renaissance. That's nice. Didn't get the Dark. Didn't really expect it. The odds are very low. I think for a couple more turns we power up Cecil. trying to find a way to get any more effects on him, but... Okay, the silent shot didn't work. I'm pretty sure the only creature type he actually had was spellcaster, and it didn't seem to work. I mean, we can try like magic defense reduction, but I have a feeling none of those are going to work. Generally, you can't debuff chaos unless you get a 1 in 100 roll, basically. That's why you just buff your own characters. Yeah, a lot of ineffective. Starting to take some damage here. We probably should start thinking of doing some attacking. Yeah, I have a feeling we're not going to get any of these. Like, I've tried 4 times and they've never done anything, so let's mark them. And we failed a dim, we failed an old. Slow is non-elemental, maybe. Got the mark. We did get him with slow. That is pretty good. So he went from like 4 huge attacks to 1 attack. He can haste himself eventually, but still. Alright, let's start doing some attacky-tacky. I'm curious. Let's just see how those look. I wonder if I like... I've never double cast before. Let's see what we can do with that. Never mind, we one-shot him. Wait, he's got 2,000 hit points. Didn't we just do 1,000? Or was that actually 11,000 and it overflowed the... We may have overflowed it. I'm pretty sure it said 1,000 or like 1,100. But Chaos has more than 1,000 hit points. More than 1,100 hit points. And we hadn't really done any real... Well, the Hunter did some damage to him. Was the Hunter sneakily doing hundreds of damage? And then he was already half dead and we just finished him? Maybe Chaos just isn't strong enough, is the truth here. I was trying to show off all my cool tricks and well, there you go. Maybe we're a little overpowered. I don't know. I didn't try to like level grind. In fact, if anything, I tried not to level grind. Well, that's Renaissance. I suppose if I do a second playthrough for the channel, I better do it on New Game Plus mode. Because that was probably too easy. As much as... So I will say, like, early on, my opinion on these 4 classes, I didn't think the Death Knight, or the Dark Knight, was very good early on. A lot of missing and low accuracy. But yes, you could mitigate it with some darkness spells, which, against a lot of enemies, work. Bosses, it's sketchy, but... he certainly picked it up by the end of the game, and might be the best mass immune wielder in the entire game, because he has such a huge base strength, and his hit growth is good. He just has weapons that are negative hit, so having a plus 50 hit is such a big difference. But yeah, I say I like the Dark Knight, although he's... yeah, he's fine. The Thief, still not my favorite. Pretty similar to Vanilla Thief, but you find some random items. Maybe before we wrap up here, once we finish the credits, I will load in another game just to see if the items are... Because there should be a bunch I can remember. Just... I don't think you can get them without a Thief, but if you can, that would be great. Because otherwise, a lot of stuff is locked behind the Thief. Or at least a fair bit of stuff. But like there was like the red shirt for the Red Mage, I think. The best armor, I imagine. Clearly, one of the better great swords, the ribbon. There's a few things, at least. But, interesting. The Ninja Scrolls were good. Not too crazy, but they're pretty good. I mean, the Thief got an upgrade, but still a Thief early on. Hunter didn't really amaze me. I think his aim is just too slow. And the arrows, the bow weapon and type kind of sucks, in my opinion. I mean, once hasted with fast, it's better, but... You know, anyone's pretty strong with fast. He's better, but not... I don't think he's going to keep up with the Dark Knight. The Hunter's markability is pretty solid. Just auto crits for other people is certainly a solid ability. Good boss killer. And his fancy arrows, like, I didn't really enjoy trying to grind for the materials to craft them. So there's kind of that. But there are some times where they completely trivialize bosses. Like, a potentially guaranteed slow on Kraken, yeah, that makes that fight free. Silence on the Lich or any other spellcaster, like that would solve that. Didn't seem to work on Chaos, which is probably fair, but other things work just fine, like we saw. Buffing seems to be the major solution, and that tends to be my strategy for Final Fantasies and most JRPGs. I prefer buffs, because they always work. It's the enemies that are hard to debuff, so you waste your turn trying to get them rather than just moving on. Because if you could just haste, temper, etc., and buff your guys up, you're going to win. If you're trying to lower the enemy's defense, for instance, it fails. But if you just increase your attack, eventually you're just going to one-shot them. So that does seem to be the same as usual for old Final Fantasy 1 rules. And it's just kind of by design. It's weird, because I think the boss maybe needs to be nearly immune to instant death, stone death type things, and paralyze. Otherwise, he's not a boss. It's like legendary resistances in D&D. But it would be nice if some debuffs, like just lowering his strength, isn't going to kill him. Like, I didn't try all the arrows, but like maybe the minus defense, minus attack arrows would have worked. I will accept that silencing him would be a bit strong, but I don't think it would stop like the Inferno Tsunami type abilities. It probably only stops the spells like Fast and Cure 4, which is still a huge thing. But I don't think that's as bad as just insta-killing him with death. Maybe like stuff like Silence and Slow and Darkness. Darkness isn't even that strong in effect. Like, it shouldn't be that hard to give him a minor aim penalty. But yeah, I kind of get why bosses generally are resistant to those kind of status elements. Maybe it'd be better if you could have an effect where they had like not the full effect of the spell, like you had like a boss version and a random monster version where like the instant death against an imp kills it instantly. The instant death spell against the boss, if he fails the save, instead of being immune to it, if it hits, he just takes dark damage of some variety, depending on the level of the spell. Like, a couple hundred damage of dark would feel like it was worth it. Or maybe a few hundred, depending on the level of the spell. And the same thing for, like, the status effects. Maybe instead of... like, poison wouldn't even matter. Ooh, 3 damage a turn, whatever, right? Like, sure, get him with poison. But, like... that's why I didn't really take the time magic that did all the marking and stuff, because 10 damage, 15 damage, that he can probably still resist anyway, like, whatever. But I think if you had a way for silence, maybe even for bosses, it's just like, because normally it's permanent in Final Fantasy, but maybe for bosses, they just are silenced for like, maybe like 2 or 3 turns, so that, like, basically you have like a minor effect of the spell for bosses that weakens them, maybe temporarily, maybe doesn't get the full effect, like maybe Slow, instead of 1 attack, just halves his attack. So he goes from 4 to 2 instead of 4 to 1. Because he's a boss. And maybe... I don't know. I can't think of a perfect answer for all of the statuses. But then they wouldn't suddenly be useless, Because if you make your team focus on status effects and debuffs, which seems fun, and it is kind of more challenging for most of the game, because it takes longer to debuff enemies, to control them, to sort of attrition them to death rather than just nuking them. You're kind of playing a hard mode. And then you get to a boss that's just immune to all your statuses, and you're like, well, now what, right? Like, that's always been my problem with those kinds of status spells. Anyway, let me see... I mean, I can pull up... I guess the only save file that I've got that's free is actually this one. This is a late game. I'm not going to spend a lot of time showing these guys off, but if you're curious, this is what some level 50 New Game Plus creatures look like. Dragoons normally use the spears. We saw some of those. You can also equip the Massa. Turns out the Spellblade can use Excalibur, which is pretty sweet. Got a Geomancer with a legendary... I think the Geomancer's pretty bad, too. I'll talk about them more if I do a run with them. And this is another Time Mage, right? So, hey, I did use the Time Mage before. As of course, the Dragon Armor can use that. There's some special boots. I don't actually think Quick Jump has ever worked for me, whatever that actually means, but most of this stuff should look pretty familiar to you guys. Nothing too new. We already saw Time Magic. Geomancy gets, like, depending on where you're standing, different spells. There's usually a healing spell, a status spell, a single target damage spell, and a multi-target damage spell, but not always. Depends on where you are. And they also have an ability to... the skill... picks a random one, kind of like the FF5 Geomancy, but it also can restore a charge. So although at level 50 you've got 6, early on you're just going to have 1 of each or something. But you can use the ones you like and then do the random ones to recharge the ones you like, which is pretty good. Like, they've got a lot of... I'd say the Geomancer is one of the better persistence mages. It just doesn't combo with the Time Mage, because the Time Mage means you just go to the inn anytime you want. So the Geomancer is much better on a group that can't teleport out. They need that long-term sustainability. And the Spellblade is weird. They do these... They don't have to use them on themselves. They can cast them on other people. And if you upgrade them, which just means using them over and over again, they get status effects as well. It takes a while to set up, and kind of like I was talking about with other things, how many enemies are actually susceptible to stone, arrow... I mean, there's a way of doing arrow damage, technically. But not a lot of enemies are weak to most of these, but you do have fire, ice, and lightning, at least, with the classics. But it does take a turn to set up, and I think their basic damage output is a little bit on the low end. This is level 50, and with the best sword they can get outside the Massa. But they've got the thing that they're really good at, I'm spending more time here than I meant to. If they are using a weapon that has any sort of elemental affinity, or monster type, I think, it just gets them a base 50% to damage. And if you attack an enemy that's weak to that element, which with the Excalibur is anything, they basically get a 100% damage bonus, which is pretty significant. So that you can kind of assume that these guys suck early game because you don't have any elemental weapons till, like, basically after Astos, really the Volcano or Ice Cave when you get the Fire and Ice swords. I think they can use, like, the Coral Sword and stuff at least. I think that counts. But point is, like, they're a little bit limited on, like, early game viability. And I wasn't a huge fan of them, but they do get, as the runic name, the ability to absorb black magic. Or any spells. And I didn't use it very much, but it powers them up, so they do more damage, and they can completely nullify enemy spellcasters if they get turn order, which means they're pretty good with the Time Mage, because they want to go first. Although I think it might have priority. Yeah, first strike means this goes first. Yeah. So you just have to cast that. But it has... I think it might fatigue you or something, so I don't think you can do it every... I can't remember. But anyway, their job is to soak up magic attacks and use magic swords. And they can give it to everybody, technically, via some other tricks. They got some other abilities. Anyway, they're interesting. The Dragoon, of course, just jumps. They do what you expect. They do have an AoE jump after promotion. And, yeah, a limit that just gives them another super jump. And they do bonus damage to dragons. There's not a lot of dragon bosses, but, you know, they sure kill Tiamat good. And that's it. Those are the 3 classes here. So, let's find out where I left my telepoint. It doesn't matter. We'll just go to, this will only take a second. You don't have to watch if you're not interested, but, I don't have nearly as much inventory this time around. No ninja to just dodge stuff. And all the bats are still alive. I'm just gonna go straight to where that ribbon was. I don't care about anything else. If you can get the ribbon on any group, that changes a lot of late game strategy. It was after the, oh, jeez, come on. Now we are, okay, now to be fair, this is New Game Plus, so, while yes, we are crazy strong, the enemies are buffed up too. So, I'm not really worried, but, like they're gonna hit it harder than normal. And of course, Gasty. And this group doesn't have a lot of healing either. The Geomancer can do some healing sometimes, but I don't think the dungeon actually has healing spells. Let me see. We've got crit up, damage up, absorb up, darkness effect. That'd be pretty good with the Death Knight. Just non-elemental damage. But yeah, not a lot of healing again. That might have been my problem with this group. I feel like a lot of groups, there's not very many classes that can heal. Like, there's a lot more damage and support jobs than, like, healing jobs. White Mage, obviously. Red Mage, to some degree. And, Geomancy occasionally, but not always. It is nice to be level 50 just stomping around. I think I just leveled up to 50 fairly naturally because you get so much experience in New Game Plus. I mean, as you can see here, fighting some regular dragons, like, we're gonna get even just 2 zombie dragons, no big deal. You know, 3,500. I think it's like 4 times XP or something close. Okay, this was where the ribbon was with the thief. Looks like we're not going to be getting free ribbons. We can do some stuff, but yeah, that's not going to do it. Okay, I just wanted to double check, but yeah, I feel like that's pretty much confirmed then. The only way to get the 4th ribbon is to have a thief. So there's definitely always value with a thief then, given that forces you to that guarantees you can have full ribbon coverage in the late game. Well, I'm gonna end my episode here, another little bit long episode. I'm gonna go back to working on my thief. You know, he's my solo thief. He's got to survive this ice cave. You know, you guys have seen solo thieves before, maybe. I don't know. I've shown you guys a few times. It's the same as it always is. I just need to survive one more dungeon and then we're fine. But assuming I want to get promoted, I don't have to promote, but things are much easier if I promote. But yeah, we'll end it here, and yeah, I'll probably do another campaign. I think I want to show off New Game Plus. Like I said at the very beginning of the series, the fact that you start promoted does give you a significant buff. You also get a ton of money to start, so you can basically buy anything you want in the first 4 towns or 3 towns. And you start promoted, and you get bonus XP and gold for fights and stuff that make things a lot easier. It's just enemies are stronger, and some of the bosses are pretty spooky. But yeah, it's all right. Anyway, we'll call that here. Good times, lots of fun. I do definitely recommend Renaissance if you're into some Final Fantasy. It's a little different than like the Pixel Remaster on Steam or the Dawn of Souls GBA version. Those games are a bit more modern style with the new MP system and probably a lot easier save anywhere. This is pretty close to the original game. Like, Renaissance is more like a ROM hack, for sure, like an NES ROM hack. But not using literally a ROM hack, so it's, you know, obviously easier for them to add cool new stuff, which I appreciate. So, pretty cool. I wonder if they'll add in, I think it's still under development, I believe, to some degree. I hope the developer continues to add interesting jobs. Like, there's no Berserker. I don't know if that's good, but FF5 certainly had a Berserker. There's only one class right now that uses axes, and it's the Trainer, which, the Beastmaster. That doesn't seem like the right axe guy. There should be a pure Berserker, or a pirate from FF3, or 2. Which one was it? FF3 had a pirate Viking, I think they called it. That's the one. Piratey Viking guy. That could work. They were kind of a tank axe guy. But anyway, there's lots of jobs theoretically they could still pull. And I wouldn't mind, like, I don't know, obviously, if this guy rewrote the whole game from scratch, I don't see any reason why he couldn't add the optional dungeons from the Dawn of Souls version. It would obviously take some work, but you've already got the mapping system, the enemies, you know, like, I don't think that would be unreasonable. And I think a lot of people enjoyed the bonus dungeons, and that's another way of putting some of the super strong bosses and weapons in a optional side of the game, so it doesn't force you to do the volcano every time. It gives you a way of, like, you know, if you want to do those optional dungeons, you can go get some cool loot there. It might be an interesting... I hope it keeps getting worked on anyway. There's got to be some other cool ideas. But, you know, maybe he wants to go do Final Fantasy 2 Renaissance or 6 Renaissance. I don't know, maybe. But pretty fun anyway. Definitely give it a thumbs up. And I'm going to end this here for real this time. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the series. And I'll probably see you again for another one in a bit. Have a great day.